United States of America, the land of hope, the land of opportunity, the land where everybody's dreams are made of, the land where hot dogs were created and hamburgers were made, from cities like New York to Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. The United States of America has really distinguished itself from the other nations and has risen to become the superpower for the past 20 years. But lately, with the economy falling, is the United States bound to not be the superpower in the next 10 years? Since the unemployment rate is 9.5, many people are questioning. The economy is not as good as it used to be. So we sat down with President Obama and asked him a few questions.
Mr. President, this is kind of random, but first question. How does the pie taste like at the White House? I heard it's pretty good.
The pastry chef here makes the best pie I've ever tasted. And that is causing big problems for Michelle and myself. I mean, whatever pie you like,
it's good.
He will make it. And it will be the best pie you've ever eaten. And so we are having to figure out how to resist ordering pie every night.
Let's proceed. First question. So, Mr. President, what's your take on the unemployment rate? The unemployment rate is pretty high these days, and it's looking like it's not dropping, and the country is very concerned.
Obviously, we are deeply concerned about the employment rate. It's one of the things that I am most focused on when I think about long-term economic policy. We have successfully stabilized the financial markets, and that's important because that was a huge drag that helped precipitate the crisis. We've started to see some stabilization on housing, but what we're still seeing is too many jobs lost, too many families who are worried about whether they're going to be next in terms of job loss or whether they can find another. And what we also know is that even before this crisis, back in 2000 through 2008, when the economy was growing, it wasn't generating enough well-paying jobs to keep pace with the growing population. That's why, even as we deal with these short-term crisis issues, it's so important for us to lay the foundations for long-term economic growth.
Second question. Do you believe that we should pull out of Iraq? Don't we feel like we've done enough and we're just wasting more money in Iraq?
And our troops have done an extraordinary job in handing over security to Iraqis in a way that can allow Iraqis to succeed. We're going to see, the last vestiges of AQI, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and other extremist organizations try to see if they can.
We also sat down with Max Fradwolf to talk about China's growing economy.
About how China this, China that. China economy is going to outgrow the United States economy. What's your take on China's economy? Growing economy.
That's to remember that China has approximately 1 billion more residents than the United States, so with any kind of equity or equal opportunity around the world, it should have an economy much larger than the United States. Well, I think the bigger story that will stay with us, which may even to some extent be on display across the G20 meeting over the next few days in South Korea and the aftermath of it, is that China has a sort of rising role in the world economy and a lot more money to put behind its policies and needs, and the United States has a contracting role in the world economy and a lot less money than it used to have, and maybe even than it sort of sometimes acts like it has. And that's beginning to reshape debates and the power of different positions in terms of international agreements, front and center. Think about currencies and trade deals going into and being discussed in the aftermath of the G20 meetings in South Korea.
And do you also believe that do you also believe the United States is helping China's economy grow more than it's helping itself?
say that the average American has already cashed into the Chinese economic miracle, kind of unconsciously and maybe without knowing it. And my little experimental joke for you to be, if you're an American viewer of this program, is go home tonight, take off all your clothes, and put them all on the floor. Take all the clothes out of your closet and out of your bureau, put it on the floor, and then make two piles, one of clothes made in the United States and one of clothes made in China, and then report back to us which pile is bigger. And I think we kind of already know. Do the same thing with your housewares, your less expensive furniture, your cooking implements, and your electronics. And I think you'll see the China pile is very large, and the American pile is relatively small, and a lot of the things in the American pile are probably going to be quite older, so you didn't buy them recently, and the things in the China pile, are going to be relatively newer. In addition to which, American investors have been in love with China. I think it'd be fair to say almost infatuated with China, at least since 2005, 2006. So American investors are cashing in by buying American companies doing business in China and Chinese companies doing business in China.
With our economy falling, other countries' economy are growing, like China. China is right behind us, and they're knocking at the door. They might become the next superpower. Unless we do something about it economically and politically, the United States will fall, and it'll end up just like the British did. Just like the British did.